Hi, welcome to I did a show where we analyze and solve PR kerfuffles from a world not beyond. I'm your host. I had it backwards. I want to do it this way and the right way and just
okay.
rush into
Eugene's
the intro.
addled. He's addled from his cornflower blue shirt.
Oh, nice. Yeah, that's the color copied correctly.
I'm your host, Lexi Auld, author of the 7 Secret Source Inspiration, a snappy guide for creative procrastinators. And joining me as always is Kid Native Bloody Elbow and from the Let It Roll podcast, as well as Eugene S. Robinson from Ozzy.com and author of Fight Everything You Ever Want to Know About Asking. We're afraid to get your ass kicked for asking.
Yes.
Collectively, MMA Pancholes. Eugene, we're going to have a UFC triple header here.
Okay.
All right. But, you're not going to answer all 3 questions at the same time. I'm just letting people know. There's going to be no variation in who you are.
You're asking 3 questions at once?
No.
Man, I'm totally confused.
This episode, you're the UFC. It's just always.
Oh, my God. Can we just start again?
I see. Okay.
So, if we had a bigger budget, we were on, network television, and be able to take another.
Now you can see what Sorrell goes through all the time. Oh, where are we? What should I? Yeah. Should I raise my hand now?
Who am I? Where am I? Admiral Stockdale.
That's every day.
Eugene, you're the UFC. How do you explain your Leslie Smith situation? Live and in public, if you will.
Well, the first tattoo parlor I ever went into was in San Jose, California. And the guy giving the tattoo was standing up, and he was giving a tattoo like with this fantastic flourish. He's like flourishing and in his right hand. And in his left hand, he's got a bottle of Jim Beam. And unlike David Lee Roth, who put apple juice in it, I could smell it was real Jim Beam. And he was swilling and tattooing and swilling. I took a look at this action for about 60 seconds. I was like, nah, bro, it's all right. Actually, I had already had a tattoo. I was getting my first official tattoo parlor tattoo, not a kitchen table tattoo. I was like, nah, not here, man. I would rather sit at Kevin's kitchen table and have him do a ballpoint pen tattoo with a needle stuck to it than this guy. The UFC currently, me acting as a UFC, is like that tattoo parlor. So the fact that, if they were concerned about optics, they wouldn't have done what they've done, which is essentially say, you know what, this was your last fight no matter what, you're gone. However, if you want to credit them with a bit of craft, I'd have to say that they picked probably one of the only people they could comfortably do that to, where nobody's really going to give a shit inside or outside the fence, because she doesn't have enough cachet outside the fence. And inside the fence, there was this whole kind of thing that she's into now with John Fitch and about, forming the essentially, she could be MMA's version of Cal Schalak, even though it seems like Cal Schalak actually got a raw deal and didn't deserve it, where there's some question about whether or not she deserved it and who she talked to and what she told. If you hang around fight places long enough, you get this kind of clubhouse cancery type behavior, and this is it. But, when the UFC, who is that exactly? The bald one? Where is he? I actually looked up at the fight on this weekend and looked at the cage, and it was like, who the fuck is that guy talking to Paul Felder? I have no idea. I don't know what's going on or who I am or who's in charge. It's like that great scene in Apocalypse Now. Who's in charge here? Ain't you? So if I'm the UFC, it's like, what? So what? What do I have to do now? Nothing. Just keep fucking trying to snow fox into paying me $400 million. I can't think of, I can't think of what they do with their day-to-day, 40, 50 hours a week at this point anyway. So.
What about you, Nate?
Whatever it is, it's not managing the UFC. It might be trying to sell the TV rights. So all they got to do is say, hey, no thing here. We paid her show money. We paid her win money. We let her go. She's just not a contender. She's not a star. We let her go. And that's all. That's all they have to do. They don't go into, I'm not union busting. You're the one that's union busting. I mean, why are you so defensive? Like,
why'd you point the finger at yourself every now and then?
Exactly. So yeah, it's.
For those who don't know, Kid Nate just pulled off a Nathan Sturm fucking callback. Martin Short's character from the old Saturday Night Live. SCTV. He started SCTV, right? Short started SCTV, but did the character start with SCTV or did it start on Saturday Night Live?
I'm pretty sure Nathan Thurman was on SCTV before he was on.
I don't think so,
You
but I
don't
could be
think so?
wrong. I could be wrong.
Maybe you're right. My bad. You're
Well,
right.
do you
It's from SNL.
SNL?
So let me just to be clear, Eugene was right and you were wrong.
Your college button up too high.
So, is it too much of a tinfoil hat wearing thing to assume that the missed weight cut was intentionally set up?
Way too advanced. There's no chance they could pull that off. They can barely pull off.
For what? Say here's a cupcake? Like what the fuck? Like you leave like a candy basket somewhere? Like it doesn't take that much to go a pound over.
Or like somebody said about Kurt Cobain, somebody insider conspiracy to kill himself, suicide. They go, hey, if a guy who's suicidal gets homicide, who cares? That explains the lack of police follow-up. So in this instance, who cares?
Damn.
I mean, a door was opened. She opened it. You'd have to be a dummy not to step through. I mean, do I have sympathy for her? Yeah, she's kind of almost a known associate, not quite a friend of Knuckle Up. Trains with some of the people who have friends in Knuckle Up. Northern California, from what I hear, seems to be a decent person, taking herself seriously. The reasons that she got fucking 86th, maybe not the greatest in the world, but hey, you know what? John Fitch is not with the UFC anymore either. How many of those people that wanted to unionize the fighters? How many of those people outside of Cerrone are still with the UFC? I don't even remember. I don't even remember who was part of this, this clutch of geniuses.
That was a separate one. That's not the one Leslie Smith's involved.
Yeah, because TJ's still there. Kane is.
Whoa, which one is which?
She's like the spear something.
Spearhead.
Spearhead, and that was the MMA.
That's right.
See, I first thought the graphic was, I was like, you see a spear and like a black dude next to it. The fuck is this, some Black Panther tribute or some subliminal shit?
Hey,
that's the name of her thing.
I went to college with a guy whose last name was Spearman. I won't mention I guess I have to mention his first name to finish this story. And he decided that it would be real funny, and he was such a big fan of MASH that he would have people call him Spear Chucker. And I was like, people would come up to me and say, hey, have you seen Spear Chucker? And I was like, you mean Craig? Nah, I haven't seen him. Yeah,
And then they'd call you a Juggle Bunny and leave?
Nah, nobody. I was one of the only college freshmen who showed up with a loaded shotgun. I can't think of anybody because I don't know if you remember at that time, but there were like attacks at Ivy League schools. And I was like, attack. Like some fraternity guys had showed up at some dorm, was screaming at the black guy. I was like, we'll see if that plays. Took my high standard pump action 12 gauge shotgun. Weird my little suit, my socks, toothbrushes, underwear, shotgun.
The paranoia started.
Oh, yeah, it started when I was attacked for the first time in New York City.
I see. Yes, Cerrone was in the MMAAA.
It's right?
Okay, what was the other one?
Well, there's the Spear Chuckers League or whatever it is. The Spearhead.
My friend, are gonna get yourself in trouble.
The Spearhead. Is it Spearhead?
You want me to come rescue you for this one? You're on your own.
Come on, Kanye. I thought you were all right.
Oh my God, that guy. Okay, that's later. That's later. Okay, so whatever. I mean, this is what is that thing that Mussolini once said? Or keeping you is no gain, losing you is no loss.
I thought you were going to say, take my wife, please.
I don't know if Mussolini said that. I think that was Hitler.
Hang me and my girlfriend by our feet.
No. You got that confused. That was how the Italian people showed they loved him.
Speaking of love.
So loved.
And showing it. Nate, you're the UFC. What is your Greg Hardy PR plan in wake of his suspect NFL departure?
Dude is so badass. Look at him. He's got the skills. This guy's a monster. This guy's got heavyweight championship written all over him. That's the whole plan. And I think dude's probably going to back it in the cage because we've already seen NFL caliber athletes are generally real good fighters. Matt Mitrione, Marcus Jones, other than not having a chin, was a real interesting fighter with the sort of
back when Bob Sapp used to train. Like, remember how he used to?
Well, remember when Bob Sapp fought Big Nog? That was epic.
That was great. Yeah.
You know, like the dude was a menace to anybody in the cage with him until Crow Cup broke his orbital bone. Very similar to Marcus Jones, actually, except Marcus just quit because he has some dignity. But yeah. But Bob likes those paychecks. What can I say? No, they're just and you know, in their defense, if a guy can't fight in a cage, what can he do? I mean, you know, I see what corporations.
Fart fetish porn.
Hey, did you hear your anus smells like rotten eggs?
Is that the right answer? I did hear about that. About Uranus.
Uranus. Yeah.
I think we go back to Uranus, right?
Stinks. Yeah. No.
Mars too. Mars and Venus. They say both of those planets are supposed to be stinky too.
Mars is stinky? No. I was like Matt Damon.
Yep. Yeah. Well, none of us are going to see it, so.
Speak for yourself. Some of us already seen it.
Yeah. Well, so what was the premise again? Who am I? I'm the UFC.
UFC. I told you at the start of the show. You must have really been confused by not seeing
Nate was Nazi.
Dude, the Octagon. No, I listened to the show Slumper, which is a great show, phenomenal show. I really enjoyed it.
Thank you.
But I think the confusion that you spoke about earlier in the show, which you also mentioned in Showstopper, like having that guy next to Felder just totally threw you off, man. Yeah. Like you haven't recovered since. That's how much this fucked you up.
No, I haven't. I actually have not. I've slept very poorly since then. I've been having nightmares. Like,
who is he?
Who is that guy? Who is that guy? No. One guy on the Twitter feed was able to tell me, and it was like, oh, he's some guy from the Contenders. But it was almost frightening. It was like nobody else saw him. Right? It took me like 4 or 5 tweets from other people before they said, oh yeah, I was wondering who that was. I was like, oh my God. I think somebody saw. I started to think I imagined it, you know. So, but Greg Hart. Well, hey, look, you know, I can talk about it because the piece is finally out. I intimated last week about the professional athlete I interviewed. It was Evander Kane, and so I had gone to the practice at San Jose, the San Jose Sharks practice, and I was watching from the media booth, but then I had to go in the locker room. Saw how big these fucking guys are and saw some of the shit they were pulling off on skates. And I was like, you know what? Whether it's hockey or football or any professional sport, it seems almost like tautological, but these guys are phenomenal athletes. I don't know how it took me so long to fucking figure that out. That if you were playing professional sports of any kind, that you are like a fucking special type of like nobody lucks into that shit, right? You don't like luck into that. So if you want, okay, Michael Jordan wasn't that great of a baseball player, but you know what? He was probably better than you and me. So
speak for yourself.
Yeah, sure. Okay. So Greg Hardy wants to fight MMA. I mean, like Nate says, we haven't seen too many laugh-worthy examples, you know. I mean, we saw James Toney against Randy Couture. He got a low ankle pick, fucking ground and pound, and that was a guy who was clearly, and he was clearly like Art Jimerson, ill prepared for what could happen, But these, make no mistake, I'm not boxing fucking James Toney either. I'm not even boxing Art Jimerson. How about that? So. For those of you who don't know who Art Jimerson is, go back to UFC 1 or 2, 1, I think. So, I think Greg Hardy is a story to be, Matt Mitrione kind of comported himself well. And if you've been on the sidelines at a professional football game, close and personal, and see what some of these fucking 290-pound cats can pull off, nah, it's scary. They're not like you and me. So,
and that's the weird thing with Hardy too, is you're talking about a guy who was like an all-pro, like a guy who was like top, like one of the top at his position, right? And like not someone who's like, oh, I got injured, so I had to stop playing, or like I got cut from teams, like because
I've had a great career and I'm ready to retire.
Yeah, exactly. Like, this is a guy who like is as close to his prime as any. I mean, just think about it in terms of a prospect. Like, what NFL, a person a year removed from a fucking NFL career, like, you know, a blossoming NFL career, goes in MMA. It's so fascinating to see like how that's going to.
However, I'm talking about like a mortar that you put down between bricks. Without fucking technique, that guy's fucking dead in the water. So I do have to say that you know, you put him against the guy. I mean, that, you know, I've had fist fights with football players before. You know, they've got that fire out of the hole. But if you last beyond the first 20 seconds of a fight with a football player, you know, you pop that guy a couple of times in the face, and he's Brock Lesnar. You know, so
right. But a guy who, but no, it's right. I mean, if you just take a guy like that, what I'm saying is, if you take a person who, he's not like, oh yeah, I'm curious what it's like to do mixed martial arts. This dude has no football career. Like, this is his only way to fucking make money.
And he's been fighting for a year. I mean, you know.
So that's
presumably, if you were to take the same, as if you train as hard with MMA as football players do, even though football players don't train as hard as MMA, but they're systematic and they're routine and regular. If you were to put in those same kind of hours with MMA, you'd be pretty good in a fucking year. Right. You know.
And that's I'm not saying that he's going to be breaking records. I'm saying at the end of the day, it's just fascinating to see. Like, we've never really seen anything like this at this stage of MMA.
That being said, my offer to who's that cat? Herschel Walker still stands. Plus 50-year-old MMA league buddy, I'm there. Plus 50. And who else? Somebody else was over.
I'm trying to fix a link, but I was going to say, Judge, something about how Greg Hardy, he's been hanging out with Thiago Silva and Hermes Franca anyway. So,
I'm you know what also is like fucking with my flow.
Can't even give me a courtesy laugh. I mean,
no, because you grown.
I did. You didn't see me. It was a silent laugh. I smiled.
I finally figured out what's wrong. That I'm being fucked with. That Nate is not in the same room, and it's like I'm like. It's like fucking with me, you know? It's like he's got.
Well, this week I haven't been able to get any sleep because between my 5-year-old trying to sleep in her own bed all night every night, you know, which means screaming daddy 3 times a night in the middle of the night, and then Eugene texting me all night long with the same sort of shit. I'm afraid. Here's a mystery man. I can't get to sleep. Can you call me and just talk me down? Like, it's been. You know.
I love that painting in the back corner right behind you, though.
Well, thank you. It's the Johnny Appleseed of Dreams.
Yeah.
Yep.
I know everybody thinks that Nate is joking, but I do text him all through the night for various odd and other reasons.
What you doing? What you doing? What's up?
Eugene, turn the water off behind the toilet.
Yeah.
How do I do that? All over. Lefty, loosey, righty, tighty. How many times do I have to tell you?
That's exactly. It's mostly like information. Like, what happens when? Who do you talk to get? He's my help. What do they call that?
The help
lifeline. I was damn sure.
Well, Eugene, it's your turn to be a lifeline for the UFC. I told you, triple header. How do you keep live events, attendee fights from overshadowing the octagon action?
Well, the first thing you do is suspend McNuggets for fucking 2 months, you know, for that fucking imbroglio with the hand cart. I mean, the thing is, you know, there's a hostile upper management phrase that I've heard more times than I care to think about, but I like it because it's subtle and it's dangerous. And the phrase is this, and if you've heard it from your boss, you know exactly what I mean. What kind of message would that send? Well, if I let you leave an hour early, what kind of message does that send? It means I gotta leave early. That's the kind of message it sends. What do you mean? Everybody is. Well, in this instance, it's more true than not. You know, if an Irishman comes rolling deep with 20 of his friends, coke to the gills, I'm not even gonna say allegedly. Why? What? Fuck that. Fuck him. Fuck him.
There's
fuck
no
everybody.
Evidence the man has gills, Eugene.
Yeah. Thank you. And you know, assaults a bus. You know, sneaks into the facility. Why? As far as I'm concerned, all bets are off. If I want to go to a fight with no pants on and a cutout of my face on my face, why is that any different? Why is that? Where are all the Law and Order fans when like they're calling for Johnny Boney Joni's head? Where are they now? that fucking what you. So if Johnny Boy Jr. had rushed home, taken a photo with his wife at their kitchen table with the child smiling at the camera, and posted that on Instagram, and be like, "Oh, he's just having a bit of fun." Fuck that guy. He's created an environment, and it's a trickle down or trickle up, however you want. It's a trickle theory, and okay, it is Jersey, but still, how many fights have you been to, like cage side? I mean, at least 60 based on the laminates I got hanging in my garage. At least 60. How many bench clearing fucking seat fights have I seen? Zero. In fact, the only time that there was even a kerfuffle that I remember going to a fight like in Vallejo, and they had a metal detector at the door, which means I had to go back to my car because, I forgot my wallet. In actual fact, it's
I remembered my 357.
Exactly. I had to put it in the trunk. So, but I mean, this is you think these things are not connected? I'm telling you, they're fucking connected. And like somebody said on my Twitter feed, it creates an environment people don't feel safe. It creates an environment where advertisers maybe don't want to advertise. It creates an environment where you didn't think it was going to make a difference. It did make a difference. What kind of message did it send? That kind of message. Yeah,
man. I mean, I don't think the Burger King would feel safe. You know what I mean? Like, just. What I understand too, just think about it. Remember the Burger King walked out with Floyd Mayweather for one of his fights? So no one was mentioning that. That's a weird thing, man. So what about you, Nate?
Didn't I answer this question?
No.
What's the question again? Huh?
Oh my God!
What?
Thanks for joining us,
Leslie Smith.
Follow us on Twitter.
Is that what you call a heel turn? Because I'm ready for the heel turn.
No.
See, not even answer this question.
Repeat the question.
Okay,
hard. The viewers want to know. I guarantee you, they're as addled as I am.
That would be very hard.
You're the UFC. How do you keep live event attendee fights from overshadowing the octagon action?
No, that's just seasoning, man. That's like saying.
Oh, did you salt bay it right there?
Yeah, that's like saying you're a cupcake. How do you keep the sprinkles from ruining the frosting? No, everybody likes the sprinkles and the frosting. Fights in the crowd at the UFC. Hey, I mean, that's what you expect. That's
like I said, I've got over 60 laminates hanging in my garage. Seen 0 fights in the fucking stands.
Well, that's because you're a calming presence.
How many
Eugene.
UFCs in Texas have you been to? There you go. How about Jersey?
Yeah, Jersey, a few.
Yeah. A few? And no fights in the stands?
No. In Newark, no.
You just were nah.
He's a calming presence. Eugene's a calming presence.
He wasn't looking. He was busy trying to hang out with Kevin
anger
Kelly.
Levels sinking. Need to fight.
No, that's where a friend of mine got carjacked in Newark. The guy couldn't drive a stick and threw his keys in the sewer. He was like, "Hey, man, the fuck you do that for?" It's your fault for driving a fucking Swedish car. It's your fault for not being able to drive it. I got to get him out of the sewer, So,
man, it's like that guy that went to McDonald's for breakfast. I mean, to rob a McDonald's at breakfast. You hear about this?
Oh.
He went in and he said, "Open the cash register." The guy kind of cash register said, "You have to make an order. I can't just open it." He says, "Okay, give me a Big Mac." It's like, it's breakfast time. We don't have Big Macs at breakfast time.
I remember this.
And the guy was pissed and walked the fuck out.
I love that story. And the guy at McDonald's probably didn't even bother calling the cops. It was like, yeah.
And then his manager didn't even bother giving him a promotion or a bonus.
And the guy came in and the next day and probably ordered a Happy Meal. Fuck it. No,
once he heard about the all-day breakfast, man, I mean, it was all, he almost forgiven.
Interviewed this guy today. I'm doing a piece on Son of Sam, and it's heavy.
I thought you believed in that whole stupid conspiracy.
That's like, yeah, I kind of touched on that, right?
Did you interview the talking dog?
Nah, I interviewed a lot of people
Tell
inside.
me
But
when
the dog is dead. So anyway, one of the guys was this really prolific bank robber, but it just means that he was getting thrown in and that he was like really like he robbed the bank and then went next door to the donut shop to have a donut. Not just to grab a donut and walk away, but he sat down to eat the donut. And the cops come in and he like looks up surprised. And they go, "Is it you?" And he's like, "Yeah, I guess so." They go, "Let's go." I mean, the fuck, man? What the fuck? He's like, "Well, I have money to buy a donut. 10 minutes ago, I didn't have money to buy a donut. I want a donut." This is not long-term thinking, man.
There was a guy, 55-year-old dude, who robbed a bank last week, and in the note, the ransom note, he had his address on it. And then he went back home, and he's living with his mother, so it's his mother's house. And the joke goes, I mean, it's actually happened. One guy joking about it said, "Man, his mother gladly cooperated with the police because she couldn't get that motherfucker out the house. Like, he's 55 years old, still living at home."
Yeah, no shit, man. Or like that story I told before. Don't Donna Shalala me, Andy, a guy I used to work with named Andy, who got his car towed. Andy was in law school at Santa Clara. And I guess this was made the newspaper, Andy Wu. And they said, please don't tow my car. And the guy goes, "No, I got to tow it, man. You just got to come down to the yard and get it. We got to pay the money." And Andy says, "Okay, fine." Goes down to the yard. Goes, "Where's my car?" The guy goes, "It's right there. You got the money." Andy pulls out a gun, goes, "Give me my fucking car." And the guy goes, "Go ahead, take it." And he takes the car, gets home. The police are surrounding his house. It's like, man, I towed your car, okay? I got your license. I got your register. I know who you are, man. So I don't know how that plays if you're in law school. You'd be a better judge of character. Let me know. But it seems like the moral turpitude clause has been violated at that point.
There we go.
Yeah.
Man. Some kind of clause is being violated. Turpitude of morality. Nate, who's the subject of a heel turn this week?
I got to turn on Father Time himself because this week the only big fight, or what passes for a big fight, is Fedor Emelianenko versus Frank Mir, UFC versus Pride. And I don't give a shit because this fight should have happened in 2007, maybe 2008, 2006, 2004. I mean, 2018, who gives a shit about these old fools? I mean,
Fuck, man. That's not even that. It's not even who cares. You said those words, and I just got sad.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. And the thought of Fedor losing to Mir, I just can't even cognizance. I mean, countenance. There's nothing. And I don't blame Coker, but why aren't there stars from more recent vintage that he can recycle? I mean, who were the UFC stars from 5-6 years ago that we should be seeing? He already got Mitrione. I guess Junior Dos Santos is off in PED suspension land.
Oh, yeah, he's vindicated, wasn't he?
Yeah, I thought he was reinstated.
Yeah. I guess you're right. You're right about that.
He's off from.
But he's still tied to the UFC. So I guess the UFC just still has him all wrapped up. But
Shane
anyway,
Carwin.
Carwin,
Did they get him? I thought they got him. Didn't they get Carwin?
No, he retired and then wants to come back, but
I thought he was an alternate in the Bellator heavyweight tournament, right? Wasn't he?
Oh, he might be. Yeah. Just don't ask Carwin about any steroids that were mailed to him by a guy who got busted. So
I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know where they came from. But I'm like the mail cop. I'm supposed to know everything that comes in the mail.
You're saying Carwin impression is completely off. The man is a college-educated engineer, Eugene. He doesn't talk like that at all.
Yeah, okay, sure. All right.
So Eugene was in your lost battalion.
Well, I mean, at this point now, everybody should know, right? Everybody knows, right? Really? I mean, do you not know? I'm serious. I'm asking a real question. Do you not know?
What, Joanna?
No.
Weidman?
Yes.
He's back and he's talking.
What did he say?
He's young in his career. He's just getting started, Eugene.
Chris Weidman says
up
he's,
and comer,
quote, still young, end quote, in his MMA career and has, quote, a lot of great things coming, end quote. Jesus fucking Boja Moy, You know, he saw her making a play for Lost Battalion supremacy, the general stewardship, and he just goes, you know, I need to let people know who it is that I am. Undisputed, all-time, lifetime fucking Lost Battalion champ. Me, Chris Woodpile Weidman, fucking fear this name. And he said, are you fucking kidding me? A lot of great things coming up. Like what? Like a bowel movement? What the fuck what do you have? What's left for you outside of old age? Okay, I could be wrong.
He's thinking about that Scott Coker payday, man. Like, you know, he's like,
man, you know, here's my
20 years from now.
Coker's already booking Anderson Silva, Chris Weidman 5.
Exactly. Yeah.
Here's my Weidman quote.
You get that leg up to block the kick.
Yeah. my go-to Weidman quote: February. What month is it, Chris? February. Well, that works only 1 out of 12 times. You do know that, right? The other 11 times it doesn't fucking work, man. So that's a really incredible quote. Since I read that quote, I've actually been trying to think of how I could incorporate some of that sang-froid into my own life, like where I could just like how could I do. I can't even think of the context. Where I could bring that same type of fucking brio to just a casual thing. I mean, I guess I could just say what he said. You know, hey Eugene, how you doing? I'm still young, and I think that a lot of
you complaining about a lack of brio when you're wearing a cornflower blue shirt and a pool table velvet blue jacket.
Hey, you know what? I got a lot of great things coming up, Nate. That's all I have to say. I got a lot of great things coming up. So.
You got your whole life ahead of you, Eugene. Your whole life.
A buddy of mine said, "What do you do when you lose enthusiasm for fucking?" I go, "How old are you, man?" 47. I go, "Well, you'll be working till you're 65." He goes, "I'll be dead then." So.
Time to get the fentanyl patch, buddy.
You might as well.
Oh man, no, the dude has been making Tinder mistakes. I go, did you set your Tinder settings to morbidly obese?
Well, his problem is he needs to actually have a human relationship with someone he cares about. That's I can tell. I can diagnose the problem right there.
Oh, listen to
too much meaningless sex.
Yeah. You're gonna shit on meaningless sex next.
Like Roger Staubach told Joe Namath, you know, I enjoy sex as much as you do. I just like to have it with somebody I love and care about.
And you know what Joe Namath said? Nothing, because he had already left. He stopped listening. I enjoy sex as much as and Joe just wandered off to find some newscaster to ask for a kiss. Hey, baby, you want a kiss? No, he asked her for a kiss. He
said, "I'd like to kiss you." Did he say, "Can I kiss you?" Or "I'd like to kiss you"?
You see, that's the difference between Joe Namath and me. He asked, I offered. That's why I have a lot of great things coming.
Because you're still young.
I'm still young, man. I'm still young. Hashtag still young.
Thanks for joining us. Follow us on Twitter at Eugene S. Robinson, Lexi All the Kid Nate, Facebook, MMA Pancholes.
Pancholes!
Please give us a thumbs up, Eugene.
Thumbs up. And okay, and then this week, April 27th, something special is happening, right?
Oh.
Boonwell.
Oh.
My Italian Oxbow band. Boonwell is coming out with a record called The Easy Way Out, April 27th, all over the world.
All right. So I have to check that one out.
Yeah. Decent record.
Are you going to cut your eyeball with a razor blade?
I'm going to cut a pig's eyeball with a razor blade.
Clever.
I didn't see all those great things that are coming up for me. So yeah, thumbs up. Sorry, thumbs up. There you go. Thumbs up right below the picture.
And leave comments. YouTube, MMANation.com on YouTube, MMA Nation, iTunes. Visit Bloody Elbow. Buy the 7 Secret Source Inspiration. Buy the new Boonwell album.
Yep.
As well as Oxbow's Thin Black Duke.
Yep.
Where fire music is sold. Listen to the Let It Roll podcast. And me find the show. Eugene, what do they got to do?
Right below, there's a link. We're gonna log out.
And the
What?
link's sort of working, but if you copy and paste it and put it in your browser, it'll work a lot better than if you sit there trying to click on it, which doesn't
Yeah,
seem to
so
be
Nate
working.
fucked it up
I don't-
somehow. So what did he say? Cut and paste it in your browser, and then in 90 seconds we'll be there because we have to log out and do some very complicated, mystical computer stuff that will have me texting Nate, asking him how to do it again.
Again and again.
And then
We're
we'll
talking
see.
about Allison Mack's sex cult.
Ooh, yeah.
She tried to get Hermione. She was trying to roll up on other women's, trying to get them to become a part of that cult where she can emblazon her initials near there of a JJ. That's what we're going to be talking about.
Bottom bitch non-pariah.
That's right. We'll be back next week with another song If I Did It. And we don't know what we can talk about because the PR mistakes have to be made.